This set of slides will review over the respiratory system models that will be present during the future lab practical. As we begin on this model, one of the things we would like for you to see is that there is the hyoid bone located here, and then we begin with this lighter blue, seeing cartilage. So we are starting to see in this area some of the components of the respiratory system. The hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage, we'll see the thyroid gland, and then we see the tracheal cartilage. Here we have the trachea removed from the model. Again, we see the hyoid bone, we see the thyroid cartilage. Cartilage on these models will appear a very light color blue. So the thyroid cartilage is what we call the Adam's apple, and this is large. Just below we become the cricoid cartilage, and then below that we will have tracheal cartilage rings. Here we have the thyroid gland. A second view of the model with the hyoid bone, thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, the thyroid gland. Notice that the model pulls apart, and on our next slide we're going to be looking at the internal structures of this model. Looking at the internal structures, the first thing we can see is right here we have our epiglottis, and our epiglottis is the flap of tissue that covers over the opening, which is the glottis. Continuing down, we will have our false vocal cords called the ventricular folds, and then we'll have the actual vocal cords called the vocal folds. Again, we can see the cartilage on the external structures, and then we see the trachea. On this particular model, again, you can see the thyroid cartilage. Here you can see the tracheal rings. They are C-shaped. Directly behind the trachea is the esophagus. And then notice that we're starting to see the branches within the lungs. Now we are going to concentrate on these branches on our next slide. So here we can see the trachea coming down, and it continues until we have a branch. The first branch that we see is the primary bronchioles. It remains primary bronchioles until we have our next branch, which then becomes our secondary bronchioles. It remains secondary till the next branch, and it becomes the tertiary bronchioles. And this continues till we reach the terminal bronchioles, and then we see on a microscopic slide the alveoli and the alveolar ducts. So again, trachea, primary bronchioles, secondary bronchioles, tertiary bronchioles.